guys know the music. You know the time of year. It is March Madness, and the Outsiders have got your back. Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger here, talking all things March Madness. The tournament, the bracket, it is on. Have you ever been so excited in your life?
I have not. Being a Gonzaga fan, #1 in the nation, a #1 seed, going to play Southern University, it is on.
Well, it is on, and I'll tell you what, has there ever been a more wide open field than this field of 68? Because I tell you what, whenever I was picking my bracket the other day, I thought about just throwing 4 darts at the bracket and picking those teams to the Final Four, and I think it might have probably been just as beneficial as trying to fill it out with any logic.
Picking teams out of a hat was probably the way to go this year. I mean, with all the teams losing to random teams, you don't have any dominant team out there. You got Duke. Louisville's playing well. They played well at the end of the season. Miami won their tournament. Indiana stumbled in their tournament, so you just really don't know what's going to happen in this tournament.
The team that was consistent is another team that we don't know maybe a lot about right now, and that is Gonzaga. We know enough to know that they only had 2 losses during the regular season. They plowed through their conference just as we, predicted they would. But the thing of it is, with Gonzaga, people say, we don't know. And maybe there is an element of that. Kind of reminding you of maybe the 2008, 2009 Memphis Tigers, a team that went roughshod through their conference. They were a 2 seed. They were kind of unknown still with John Calipari as far as a team that could go far. They wound up going to the Sweet 16 and losing. They didn't go to the Final Four as they did. But this is a team that Memphis did go to the title game the year before. That's a great coach. John Calipari, Mark Few's a great coach as well. Gonzaga has the pedigree. They went through the non-conference and they beat like every Big 12 team. So
yeah, we had a pretty good non-conference schedule. We beat Oklahoma State. We beat Kansas State. But as far as when the tournament comes around, the people have questions because they haven't played the top teams like a Duke or a Louisville or an Indiana. So the people have questions about that. Can they make it all the way to the Final Four, having to go through a Wisconsin, a tough Big Ten team, a Kansas State, or the #2 seed, Ohio State? So
yeah, it's going to be interesting because they're going to be tested. They're going to be tested early and they're going to be tested often, just as all these teams are. And from watching all these teams play all year, I have no clue. I thought Duke might be the best team in the nation for a long time. I thought, maybe it was Michigan. And since I said that, Michigan lost 7 games out of 11 or so to finish just horrible.
The one thing that Gonzaga has going for them is they haven't lost to a loser like some of these teams have.
Oh, man,
Miami losing to Wake Forest and Georgia Tech. Louisville losing to Villanova. I mean, they're in the tournament, but they're not that great a team.
I mean, a lot of teams have losses to, mediocre teams, like you talked about, Louisville. They lost to Notre Dame and Villanova. What about Kansas? They've lost to TCU now. Does that matter at this point, though?
I think it does. It shows you that you don't know what you're going to get out of them. You don't know if you're going to get that consistency out of them each and every week or every game. And I have them in my tournament, or my bracket, losing to North Carolina in the second round. It's going to be tough with Withey down low. North Carolina and Roy Williams like to play a smaller lineup, lots of guards. So it's going to be tough with Withey down low. But I think they have too much firepower, and I think they take down KU.
But I think the question about that is, in Kansas has faced North Carolina and Roy Williams twice in this tournament, since Roy Williams made the move to North Carolina, and they've just smacked North Carolina around. And then, the next game, Roy Williams shows up wearing a KU pin on his sweater and just watches KU romp another game. So, with the game at Sprint Center, I think Kansas kind of has a road. I also have Kansas out to North Carolina because I think at some point Roy Williams, who's a great coach, is going to get a team ready to play and going to knock off Kansas. And Kansas is a team to me. This is still just a team 10 days ago, 11 days ago, whatever it was, got blown out by Baylor.
I mean, you've got McLemore, you got Ben McLemore, you got Withey down low, but other than that, they're just kind of role players and pieces here and there. Elijah Johnson's struggled. He's come on a little bit as of late. And you got Travis Relaford, who can knock down the 3 or a 15-foot jumper. But and then you got Kevin Young, who's kind of a scrappy player, rebounder. You don't really have the big stars other than Withey and McLemore. So
what about Louisville? This is a team that I think lost 3 straight during the middle of the season, but they're playing their best basketball right now. And Rick Pitino in this tournament, always a fighter, always gets his team far. Do you like Louisville to get to the Final Four?
I do. You've got Russ Smith and Peyton Siva at the guards. They're 2 really great players if you haven't seen them play. Gordy Jang, one of the best defenders and best passing big men. probably in this tournament, along with Kelly Olynyk and Elias Harris. And Cody Zeller with Indiana. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a Missouri fan, I am terrified to see Louisville in that second round, which is where Missouri has been sent to the Midwest. They're in Lexington, where Missouri will play Colorado State, and then if they were to be fortunate to win that one, they were going to get Louisville, who already beat Missouri by 23. And Missouri, talk about a wildly inconsistent team, a team that just could never quite get it together this season after starting out hot, lost 8 games in the final minute of a game. It's uncanny. It's almost unprecedented. The Missouri has invented and found new ways to lose, and the truth of it is that's why they're seated where they are, and that's why they're probably not going to go very far. Although Seth Greenberg, who we just got a text from, Seth Greenberg has picked apparently Missouri to go to the Final Four. Very, very crazy pick in my opinion. But Seth Greenberg, we tried to get him on today. He's
also got
he was on
Gonzaga
set
in the Final Four. Yes, he was on set in the ESPN,
so he couldn't quite join us. We'll forgive him for that. But the other number 1 seed, of course, Indiana, and we talked briefly about them. We're going over the number 1 seeds and which they're more likely to get to the Final Four. And Indiana's been a team once again. You looked at them kind of go through the Big Ten, which is a great conference. They had a good season. They had the Big Ten title outright, won regular season, but they lose in the tournament. They have some inexplicable losses. I don't know. I think Tom Crean's done a great job getting that program back. A great lineup, great talent there at Indiana. Does it equate to a Final Four, to a national title? I don't know.
I think they've got an easy road to go through. I mean, they've got Syracuse, North Carolina State. You got Marquette in Miami. I don't think any of those. I mean, Miami's going to be their biggest competition, obviously. But as far as a Syracuse team who's really struggled this year, really up and down. They're up 16 against Louisville in the Big East Championship game, and then they end up getting blown out in the second half. So you really don't know what to expect from them. I have Indiana in the Final Four. I think Oladipo is too tough on the defensive end. Jordan Holes really hitting those threes, and Cody Zeller, they're going to feed him the rock down low, which they haven't really done during this season, probably because they know what they're going to get from Zeller. They're trying to get the others ready, but come tournament time, they're really going to work Zeller, NBA talent.
Let's talk about seeding real quick because I think for the most part the committee did a good job of getting the right 68 teams into this tournament. I look around and I see some of the seedings, and I just have to question some things. We had Oregon winning their conference tournament a 12 seed. Ole Miss winning their conference tournament a 12 seed. The committee, to me, needs to figure out whether the conference tournament means something or it doesn't, because it hands out automatic bids, 31 of them, I believe, to teams that win their conference tournaments, yet teams that win their conference tournament don't get helped or in the seeding. So I don't know which it is. Does it matter? Does it not matter?
Illinois lost 12 games, and they're a 7 seed.
Oh, that makes no sense at all. The Big Ten was a good league this year. I'll give them credit for that, but there's no way they should be a 7 seed. There's no way.
I agree. I mean, and going back to the 12 seeds like an Oregon and an Ole Miss, I mean, do they mean you're right? Do the conference tournaments mean something or do they not? I put more stock into the regular season and what they do there, and if they win their regular season conference. So.
I agree with you, but then why does a team like Liberty get into this tournament with a 15-20 record when they win their conference tournament? When they, I don't know which team it was in that particular conference that won that regular season, but they're not in. So
yeah, I mean, I think if you have a losing record and you win your conference tournament, you should be going to the NIT. You have to have a winning record and win your conference tournament to get an automatic bid.
I think that'd absolutely be the case. And, I want to look at some other teams right now because there's going to be some sleepers. Every year we look at a team, a Cinderella run. Of course, Gonzaga started out as that team in 1998. So what upsets do you have in your bracket? Like, what can you give me as far as a sleeper?
Like 13, 14 or lower. Like, I just couldn't do it.
How about Bucknell, an 11 seed? You follow me there? The Bucknell Bison.
I don't know. I got Butler in that game, but Butler's been up and down, so I could definitely see Bucknell winning that. Maybe Davidson is a game one to look at. They're playing Marquette. Davidson's got a really good team. I like 3 out of the 4 12 seeds to win. I mean, Ole Miss, Oregon, and California. I mean, those are some games. I think Oregon plays Oklahoma State. I've got Oregon there. Ole Miss plays Wisconsin. I have Wisconsin, but I can definitely see Ole Miss winning that. And then California plays UNLV. That's going to be a tough game. It's a rematch of in the regular season they played. UNLV took that. I think California, with their NBA star talent, Alan Crabb, can come out and they can get revenge and win that game against UNLV. I could definitely see 3 out of the 4 12 seeds winning. The other one is Akron at VCU. People are picking VCU to go really far, and they are exactly right. It's going to be tough against Michigan in the second round after they beat Akron, because they will beat Akron. Akron is playing without their point guard, I believe, so they're going to be shorthanded against Michigan. I think Michigan's too talented, but VCU has that pressure defense, so you never know what could happen there. So VCU could go far, but so Akron doesn't have a chance, but I like Michigan. So
what about, let's talk about the Atlantic 10, because VCU, of course, comes out of there. St. Louis, a 4 seed. How good is this conference? Because VCU and St. Louis both look like teams to me that could make runs. But again, when you don't have the pedigree, I mean, I know VCU's been to a Final Four, but a team like St. Louis that hasn't been there, hasn't done that, does that hurt them? Because
they're playing for the memory of Rick Majerus,
certainly,
who passed away and was their coach, and now there's an interim coach with St. Louis who's done a great job in taking them to a number 4 seed in this tournament. And should they get by Oklahoma State and or Oregon, whoever wins that game, they could be a nightmare matchup for Louisville, and I could see them going to an Elite 8, possible Final Four.
Let's talk about the Florida Gators, a team that a month ago I thought was among the top 2 or 3 best teams in the nation. I no longer think that. Florida has stumbled down the stretch, losing 5 games, by 4 or less points, down the stretch. The Gators, to me, looked like a team from, Billy Donovan earlier in the year that were dominant. The dominant team out of the SEC, which wasn't a good basketball conference this year. Florida with Kenny Boynton, they've had some injuries. Can they find their way? They're a 3 seed. Can they find their way back to a Final Four? Because I think their road is a little easier too. Having to play San Diego State, Oklahoma, Minnesota, UCLA winner. And then they'd have Georgetown in that bracket.
I really like Florida. I mean, they're probably the most impressive team that I've seen this year in certain games.
Yeah,
they've been blowing people out 30, 40 points. And then they'll lose an inexplicable game
to Arkansas, or they've lost
just,
to Tennessee, and they've lost. They really, I think they faltered down the stretch. They lost to Ole Miss in the conference championship game, just handing Ole Miss, a bid into the tournament. But how about this? Last year, we saw 2 number 2 seeds, Missouri and Duke, both losing to 15s. Does something crazy like that happen? We talked about sleepers. You don't maybe have very many this year, but is there a chance that happens again?
I'm conservative. I couldn't see one that I said, okay, I'm going to take this 15, this 14, this 13. I think it's definitely going to happen. I mean, in a year that's so wide open and people losing to random schools out there, like Miami losing to Georgia Tech, which should not have happened, in Wake Forest. I mean, there could definitely be a 15 seed or whatever. So maybe Pacific beats Miami and Florida. You don't know. So
we don't know. I think it's going to happen, though. One that I look at here, you're talking about a 4-13, Montana over Syracuse, could definitely go down. And, before we head out today, let's get it out there. Let's get it on paper. Let's get it out there over the airwaves. Give me your Final Four, and we'll see what we got from there.
I really don't think this is going to happen, but this is my Final Four. I don't know. I picked it, but after I looked at it, I was like, really? 3 number 1 seeds? How chalky and dumb can you get?
Barack Obama would probably agree with you.
But anyway, I've got Louisville coming out of the Midwest. I have Gonzaga coming out of the West. Big shocker there. Out of the East, I have Indiana, and out of the South, I have Michigan.
Well, you can't argue with that. I got Louisville out of the Midwest. Ohio State coming out of the West.
Ooh.
Ohio State playing well right now. Indiana and Florida. So I stand by what I thought about Florida, even though I'm still kind of wavering on them. I have them in there with Louisville and Indiana in the championship, Louisville winning it. Basically,
I've got Gonzaga and Michigan in my championship game with Gonzaga winning.
Basically, what you guys need to do with that is whatever the Final Fours that we each just threw at you, don't pick any of those teams.
No, do not.
And you'll be good. So
maybe Oklahoma in your Final Four, something like that. So
it's going to be an exciting March Madness as always. Is there a better 2 days in sports than the Thursday and Friday to start the tournament? Is there the 2 best days in all of sports during the year?
I mean, it is to me, especially since the Chiefs aren't competitive and don't really get into the playoffs or even come close in the playoffs. They just get blown out. So definitely these 2 days coming up, Thursday, Friday, are the most exciting time in anything in sports. It's going to be great.
Well, guys, get in our bracket contest. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Outsiders Podcast, and go ahead and get in our free tournament contest.
If you know any girls, have them fill out your bracket for you.
You'll
or
win.
Get them to pick pretty colors for the uniforms or the funny mascot or whatever, because that will win you your bracket.
More often than not.
Listening to us and the pundits on ESPN, that is just going to be a nightmare situation for you. You will lose big time. So find some girls out there, your mom, your aunt, your grandma, librarian, whatever you can, and have them pick out the tournament for you.
Give us your feedback. We want to know who you got going all the way. Go to our Facebook page. Go to our website, outsiderspodcast.weebly.com. We have enjoyed it. Noah Droniger and Clint Schweitzer are here, Outsiders. March Madness is on. We will see you guys next time.